This is the all-new 2026 Honda Passport Trailsport. Today we're here in beautiful Puerto Rico to check out all the features and put it to the test. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. In recent years, the Honda Passport has become well known as a family-friendly two-row unibody SUV with loads of interior room, good tech, and one of the best all-wheel drive systems in the business. But in recent years, its trail readiness has been hampered by a lack of underbody protection, no real recovery points, anonymous styling, and all-wheel drive tuning that, at times, was a little frustrating. Transmission system problem. Yikes. Well, today is a day of redemption for the Passport. This is the new 2026 Honda Passport Trailsport. And this time, I think they might have done things right. With it, Honda is taking the fight straight to the Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road and the Subaru Outback Wilderness. The Trailsport here comes with steel underbody protection, recovery points both front and back, more capable trail modes, an optional trail camera system, and it has styling that looks really great. Any vehicle built for the trail is only as good as its tires, and here we have the General Grabber All-Terrain Sports. Now this is a specially formulated version of this tire for Honda. Do note, however, this is not 3-peak rated, so it's not rated specifically for deep snow. It is a 275/60 R18 fitment, and I do like this wheel design, even though it's kind of a faux beadlock, but I think overall the package looks pretty good. The Passport Trailsport starts at $49,900 US, including destination. A loaded Trailsport Elite Blackout will set you back $55,100 US. Now, considering this is supposed to be a trail-ready trim, let's first look at the geometry. Ground clearance is 8.3 inches, which is just kind of okay. The approach angle is a small increase over the 2024 model. It's up from 21.1 degrees up to 23 degrees. That's better than both the Subaru Outback Wilderness and the Toyota 4Runner TRD Off-Road. But it's a far cry from my Land Cruiser's 32 degrees of approach angle. Under the hood, V6 fans rejoice. This is Honda's recently redesigned 3.5-liter V6 engine. It produces a peak 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. It is now mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, and even the all-wheel drive system has been upgraded to the second-generation iVTM4 setup with a beefier back end. To better manage this whole setup, the Passport does get a new trail mode. EPA rates economy at 18 miles to the gallon in the city and 23 on the highway. So I know a lot of people are going to ask, does it have an accessory transmission cooler? Well, here's the story. According to Honda, it doesn't need one because it's been redesigned from the get-go to be able to handle towing. And speaking of towing, this will tow up to 5,000 pounds, and it comes with a 7-pin connector on certain models. The wheelbase has grown to 113.8 inches, track is now around 68 inches. The body is 190.6 inches long. It is smaller than the new 4Runner by just a bit, but it does have a longer wheelbase. If you look up the word spacious in the dictionary, it should have a picture of the new Passport. Behind the second row, you get 44 cubic feet. Back here, you also get AC power socket. Under the floor, we get a spare tire, although it's not a full-size spare. And then we also get a cool little Easter egg up there. Honda does sell a full-size spare mounting kit you can put right here, which I think is a great option and I wish more manufacturers would offer. We also get little bins all around, so overall this is a very flexible cargo area. Do we have enough room to sleep? Okay, that floor, not very strong. It has lots of wiggle, which isn't great. But there is plenty of room here. I even have a massive panorama sunroof over me, which is nice. Okay, in the second row, it's very similar to what we've seen in Passport before. Comfortable seats, lots of room. Center console, I not only get 2 USB-C sockets, they actually output 60 watts of power. I also get AC, and at this trim level, which is an Elite, I get 3 stages of heat and my own AC controls. Oh, look at that. I also get a screen. Nice. For the street driving portion of this video, Honda has moved us into a standard Passport. Later, we'll drive off-road in the Elite. So in this standard Passport, we do have a lot of good stuff going on here. We have a digital gauge cluster. We have this really nice display running Google software now. That's a new thing for Honda. What's that rear view camera look like? Not great. But I do like this interior. I like the different materials. They have all the AC buttons are actually still dials and buttons, which is great. Down here, we have the PRND with the push button setup. I have a place to put my phone right there with a couple USB-C sockets. And below that, I get drive mode selection. And there is a new drive mode on this one that was first introduced on the Pilot, and that's called Trail. What's the difference? Well, there's a little spot right over here, and we're gonna kick this driving portion of the review off with a little demo. So to get the front view camera, you have to move up to the Elite. This one only has a rear view camera because this is a standard. They don't call it standard, but they just call it Passport, so I'm calling it standard because I gotta call it something. Thankfully, the beach here has provided a nice little crosscut where I can show you the difference in the way that the traction control systems work in this vehicle. So first, I'm just gonna go up in normal mode, and let's see if we can kind of copy the same line each time. So going up in normal mode, we're gonna lift that rear wheel. Now this system, iVTM4, can shift up to 70% of available torque to the back, and then with that, it can then shift 100% of torque to either side. So you can see, even in normal mode, got up at no problem. Now let's go back. And yes, even the standard Passports have trail mode. You don't have to go up to the Elite for that. Okay, so now we're gonna switch this into trail mode. And now take a look at the way that the power is distributed. It actually grabs much quicker when I'm in trail mode and gets us up this little challenging climb, which is awesome. Now we have a third mode that I want to show off, and this is sand. Now sand actually allows for a lot of wheel spin, because the biggest problem with going on sand is when your vehicle cuts power because it doesn't find grip. Well, sand allows you to spin your wheels, which allows you to propel forward. So you're going to see a lot of ridiculous wheel spinning here. So now we're going to go up here. See how much more wheel spin there is in this mode? So obviously for difficult off-road conditions, you don't want to use sand. You want to use it only on loose surfaces. Otherwise you might, grind your tires up in a bad way. So yeah, pretty happy with the changes they've made, at least in that regard. That was my biggest question with this new Passport, because the old one kind of let me down in the trail functionality. But yeah, so far this one's starting off with a win. Now let's see how this deals with the street, and then a little bit later we're gonna hit a trail that Honda's put together for us here in Puerto Rico. Okay, once we're on the street here, we can switch back into normal, and let's just see how well this thing drives. So let's try a 0 to 60. I'm gonna put this into sport mode. We're just gonna stop it and see what it can do. 3, 2, 1, stomp. Oh, power goes to all four wheels. Oh yeah, 40, 50, and 60. You know what? I think that's okay. That is pretty good. Now, one of the biggest questions people have when they see a vehicle like this with all-terrain tires is, does it make a lot of road noise? No, it does not. I can hear the treads, especially at lower speeds, but like right here, I'm cruising, it's nice and quiet. So they did a really good job with the sound deadening here. We're starting the driving portion of our video here today out near the El Toro Wilderness. This place is absolutely spectacular. I cannot describe how beautiful this place is. And the road here, so smooth. This is the best road I've been on in Puerto Rico so far. Absolutely spectacular. It's like I'm in a different planet right now. This is amazing. So we're going uphill, we're going downhill. As far as power is concerned, I think that this V6 is right in a good place to be. I would never call this fast, but I would say it's a very competent amount of power output. I put my foot down, it does what I ask. Sounds good too, at least on the inside. So as far as comfort, I've been driving in this vehicle for a while now, more than you've seen on camera, and it is very comfortable. I like the seats, they have good support for me. These ones are also heated at this trim level. However, if you go up to the Elite, you also get seat coolers, which is a nice addition. There are, of course, a number of different drive modes. We can switch between Sport, Normal, Econ, and Snow. Those are the road-going versions. I'm going to go ahead and put this into Sport mode, and that's going to optimize not only the traction control systems, but also the iVTM for all-wheel drive. iVTM4 is one of the best all-wheel drive systems on the market. It is actually a mechanical system that will torque vector power to the back wheels. It'll push up to 70% of available torque to the rear axles, and then with that, it'll push up to 100% to an individual wheel. And to improve cornering, it'll overdrive the rear outside wheel, which helps with rotation. So when I turn the wheel here and I add a little throttle, it'll overdrive that by about 2.9%. So as I add throttle, it's kind of acting like all-wheel steering, but without the mechanical complexity of that kind of system. Of course, that system also pays benefit off-road, which we will play with later. And it makes great noises on the inside. I imagine it makes no noises on the outside except for the tires, probably. Just a little rumble. Talking about handling, this is a softly sprung vehicle, and that's actually a good thing. When you're off-roading, you want that softer setup. It does have quite a lot of body roll actually in the corners here when you push it, but I mean, how many people are going to push a Passport? And of course, with so many car makers moving to turbo 4s, it's kind of nice to have a V6 again, you know? Power comes on strong and fast. It just makes for such a great driving experience in this car. Now, is it powerful? Is it fast? No, not really. But I feel like this is a very nicely matched engine to this vehicle for what its intent is and for the way that it is set up. Of course, here among the bamboo and the mangroves, I think that going to Eco, it seems like a nicer setup. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the drive mode to that. And now it'll, of course, back off the throttle. It's not going to be as aggressive. It's probably also going to shift more power to the front wheels because that's a more economical way of motoring. Yeah, it's fine. I think it's safe to say that if you're looking for a family-friendly two-row SUV, the Passport, it's really nice on the street, and I don't think anybody's going to have complaints driving this. It is so pretty out here. Oh, what do we have here? What? Oh, that is spectacular. But we got a review to finish here. This being a trail sport, of course, the suspension is on the soft side. But that's not a bad thing, actually, because the whole world is not nicely paved roads just like this. Sometimes roads get bad, and sometimes roads end. And when that happens, you kind of want more cushioning in your ride. Okay, we're going to slow down here because the road is getting, it's getting really bad. It's like more of a trail than a road at this point. And of course, the rain is back. Now, with the way they've set up the dampers and the springs here, it's doing a pretty good job of absorbing things. But one thing I really like about this vehicle is the fact that it's 18-inch wheels, no matter which trim you get. They didn't make the decision to put like 20-inch wheels on this. Looking at you, Nissan Armada. And because these are 31-inch tires on 18-inch wheels, we actually get a reasonable amount of sidewall. Now, how big of a tire can you stuff under this? I don't actually know, but I'm guessing just by looking at it, you might be able to stuff a 33, but you might get a little bit of rubbing on full compression of the suspension system. So definitely check before you go up a size on this one. I think the biggest thing that you're giving up picking this vehicle over the competition is perhaps economy, because with that V6 engine, yeah, you're just not getting great MPGs. but you are getting a vehicle that can handle pretty much any road. Doesn't matter if it's rain or shine, heck, even snow, this thing should just absolutely eat it up. The weather here is pretty crazy. It's like Pacific Northwest in the springtime. It's just like sunny, sunny, rain, 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 sun, rain, sun, rain. How about both? This road is absolutely deteriorating. Oh, yeah. The suspension's doing a good job, but there's hardly any road here. But this is not our off-road test. This is still technically a road. What we're going to do now is head out to a different part of the island and get into a Honda Passport Elite that has all the features, including the rock rails and the surround view camera system. And we're going to see how well this Passport handles something a little bit more complicated. Oh. God, should I put it in trail mode here? This road. So today we are doing a lead follow setup. So basically I'm in line with a whole bunch of other Passports. Honda has spec'd out a trail here in Puerto Rico, and we're gonna basically go through, I think, a rainforest or rainforest adjacent, I'm not sure. The only downside here is that I'm in a line with a whole bunch of other people, which means I don't get a lot of leeway here. And the very first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna do the hill descent. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit a button there. Hill descent control is on, and I'm going to crest the hill. And then one thing I like is that there's actually a little speedometer, a little speed meter that shows me 2 to 12 miles per hour on this downhill section. And basically what I lift off at is what it will let me down at, which is pretty cool. So when I put the brake on, it obviously will override the system, but then when I release again, it will go right back to using that brake control system. And then once we're done, we can just turn it off and away we roll. Very nice. I do prefer the system where you can use the paddles to kind of control the speed, but at least this one gives me great visual feedback. So we're now going to go through what they call Passport Park. This is a man-made section, which gives us an opportunity to try out some of the more rigorous off-road features of this new Passport. Okay, so first obstacle here gives us an opportunity to look at the camera, and because obviously this has a big hood, so we need to be able to look over the hood, and the camera systems work really well for that. For the Passport, they know that you are going to scrape your undersides a little bit, so they did equip it with steel skid plates. Plus, it has built-in sliders, which is excellent. So let's try them out, shall we? We got a little tilt job here. Let's see what we get for super tiltiness. So I'm in trail mode, which of course optimizes the all-wheel drive system, but at this point we're just dropping in the hole. I am rubbing on that rail, which is nice, and just ease it down gently. And of course we have a decent approach angle on this vehicle of 23 degrees, so we don't rub on the front. Excellent. And here we have a big climb. Now it's not as steep as the ladder that we have back at our mountain test course, but let's take a look at the gauges and see what we got for an incline here. Now their inclinometer, they did take a page out of the Toyota textbook with basically 0 and 45. Everything else in the middle, you gotta guess. I am guessing this is about halfway to 45, so this is what, a 23-degree climb? We go a little step. And of course, this trail cam system is awesome. I do actually really like this. I wish that more companies would do this kind of a setup. And we get a little bit of a side tilt here. Let's see what we can get here. It's about, it's not that steep, about 10 degree tilt. So now we're going to go down a thing they call the rock slide. This is a little rocky descent. Now, of course, we're going to put it into hill descent control. We're also in, of course, the trail mode. There we go, hill descent control on. And I can also swap up the display up here. Now, there's multiple views. If I toggle the right, I can actually change my views up here, which is pretty cool. And so we're going to go with the wheel view so I can see the sides. Although first I'm going to crest the hill where I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. Look for the wheel tracks. And a little rub, but it's okay. We got rock sliders, so we're good. And down we go. And I'm just going to lift off the brake, and it's going to do the rest of the job. We're rolling at 2 miles an hour. If I add a little throttle, it will actually increase slightly the speed, and then it'll pick it back up as soon as I add throttle. So at this point, we're going to do a steep climb. They have recommended that we put the transmission into sport mode so it'll hold the gear longer and not release it. And we will just do an easy on the throttle and see how well we do. Now we're at 32 feet of elevation right now, and we're just going to slowly climb. This will also, of course, be a test for the tires. If it gets a little loose, it'll be looking for grip here. Now up we go. Now I'm looking at the inclinometer, trying to figure out what kind of numbers we're looking at here, and I think we're halfway to 45. This feels about as steep as the ladder is back home at our mountain test course, and that peaks out at around 30-degree climb. I'd say this is probably pretty close to that. Maybe a little bit steeper. I'm just gonna keep an easy throttle. I'm just climbing here at 4 miles per hour. It's really not that brisk of a climb. And we are apexing.
Want to spin that wheel all the way right. All the way, all the way, all the way. There you go. Good job. Nice and slow.
Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a drop here. I'm going to use the camera system. There we go. Found the slider.
There you go. Stay driver. There you go.
And up and out.
Nice.
The new design really does make for a very large hood, so it is kind of hard to see over. Now the nice thing is that we actually do, of course, have a great trail cam system, so that does make up for a lot. However, if you are considering one of the lower trim levels that does not have the surround view camera, keep that in mind. The lower trims don't necessarily have the trail camera system, so make sure you get one that has that if you actually plan on doing any off-roading, especially solo. So this has been our first drive of the all-new Honda Passport Trailsport. I think they did a bang-up job equipping this vehicle right for the kind of trails that you're going to take it on. Now, are you going to do extreme stuff with this? No, it doesn't have the articulation for that. It doesn't have the ground clearances for that. But I think for a family that wants to get out on the weekend, need lots of space, this is a great option. Of course, we will film one of these out on our own test sites when we have more control over the environment later this year. But for right now, yeah, this has been a good time. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share videos. We make them for you, and I hope you enjoy them. And we'll see you again right here real soon.